What's up everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna be working on the Chrysler 300. Last time I put coilovers, so right now it's sitting on coilovers, and I didn't drive it outside of the shop. I want to take advantage now that it's in here, and I want to do a couple of upgrades. I'm gonna start off with the turbo. I actually got a turbo from Drift Motion. So this is a 6266 and it's a 70 AR on the exhaust side, so it's supposed to spool a little bit faster. Plus it's the new ones with ball bearing. They only had journal bearing, but they just came out with the ball bearing. So I want to try it out. I want to see what it does. I'm going to show you guys what I currently have in here. So right now I have a competition turbo, and honestly I don't know what size it is. Last I checked it was like a 67, and the housing is a 0.96. So I know it's a pretty big turbo for the motor, and it takes a minute to spool. So I want something a little faster. That's why I'm gonna swap out to the other one. I also want to do a couple of other things. I need to fix this upper radiator hose. I want to make it look a little bit better. This works, but I don't like the way it looks, and I can't really run an intake. So I want to fix this, and I also need to probably do a bracket for my power steering. And this is what I'm using for the coolant reservoir. And I mean, this doesn't work the way I have it. The hose is supposed to be connected to the bottom, and it's connected to the top, so it's not doing anything. So I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna put another one. And I also want to put bigger injectors. I'm just gonna go slightly bigger on the injectors. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the turbo. I'm gonna remove this one, and I'm gonna be installing the Drift Motion one. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the turbo. This should be pretty simple. All I have to remove is just the clamps on the piping. I think I'm gonna have to remove this housing, and also the feed line, and the exhaust, and then the 4 bolts holding the turbo on the manifold. And that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it off. It shouldn't take me that long. I'm almost done taking the turbo off. All I gotta do is remove the return line, and I got 4 bolts holding it to the manifold. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I also want to measure the turbine and see how big it is compared to the other turbo I'm gonna use. I finally got the turbo off. Not a big deal. Here's my old turbo, and I actually measure it. It measures like 76. So this is like a 76, and the AR it's a 96. So this is actually a decent sized turbo. Now I understand why this motor had a hard time spooling it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and install this one. Like I said before, this is a 6266, and the AR it's a 70. So it should be enough for what I have, and it should spool quicker, a lot quicker than this one. Now I know I'm gonna have a lot more fun driving the car. So I can't wait to install this one, finish the rest of the stuff I want to do. I want to drive it. I want to drive this thing so bad. Before I install the turbo, I want to show you guys the difference in sizes. So this housing is a lot bigger than this one, and you could totally tell the difference. So there's the two of them side by side. When you put a bigger turbo, doesn't mean that you're gonna make a lot more power. Sometimes you're gonna make less power, and it's gonna take the engine a little longer to make that power. So that's why I'm actually upgrading. Even though this turbo is a little smaller, I'm gonna go ahead and install it now. So this is the progress so far. I already finished installing the turbo. I had to modify this pipe right here because it didn't line up anymore with this other turbo. The only thing I did was I had to cut it like an inch, and I had to extend it like 4 inches to the bottom so it can reach the bottom coupler. But now it's fine. I also fixed the upper radiator hose. I was using something else before. I was using this before. This is from like a Nissan, and I mean, it didn't really work that well, but I mean, it was getting me by for the meanwhile. So I'm happy the way it looks. I'm pretty much done with this side. I'm gonna do a few things to the wiring, and I also wanna find a spot for the computer because it was just sitting there. I'm gonna keep on using the stock computer for now because I wanna keep on driving the car, and if I do a standalone, it's gonna take me a minute. After I'm done with the harness, I'm gonna put everything together. Then I'm gonna drive the car. I wanna see how it drives with the new turbo. Okay, so I'm pretty much done with it. I finished my upper radiator hose. So this is what I did. I just used the silicone hoses, and I just used a little piece of pipe over here. I put a coolant reservoir. This is like an eBay reservoir, It's like a universal one, so I just use it for the coolant. And I got my hoses right here. And for the turbo, all I did was just put the filter. I'm gonna eventually do an intake that it's gonna go like, I'll probably leave the filter right here. Like this filter is gonna go on this side. Okay, so I actually finished the car like a couple of weeks ago, and I was able to take it to Supras in Vegas. I think I left it at somewhere around 10 pounds of boost. So I wanted to go to the Sema show. I was gonna take the Chrysler, but I wanted to push a little bit more power. So I turned up the boost, and I think I turned up the boost too much. Either I turn it up too much, or there's a problem with my fuel filter or my fuel pump, because I run the motor too lean and I believe I damaged a cylinder. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on for you guys so you can hear it. Okay, so there it is. It has a nasty misfire. And I already removed the spark plug. It was actually on cylinder number 4, and the spark plug is melted. It melted the ground or the electrode. I'm gonna show you guys in a bit. Okay, so these are the spark plugs from number 3. This is number 3 right here. And inside the insulation is broken. The ceramic piece is broken, the white ceramic piece. And then this is number 4. This is where I'm getting the misfire. So you can see that it's missing a piece. This one's complete. And honestly, I just did one pull at high boost, and that's all it took. I don't think I damaged the motor that bad, because on the spark plug it's not that bad. I was barely getting on it when I noticed that the motor didn't like it, so I let off. But I was able to build a lot of boost, more than I thought I was gonna build. So, I mean, now I gotta pay the consequences. But not a big deal, I got extra parts, so I'll get it running again. I did check that compression on all cylinders, and I had good compression on all of them except this one. This one, I had no compression at all. So I'm not gonna be able to drive the car anymore. I'm gonna have to remove the head and make sure I didn't damage the piston and the valves. That's what I'm gonna do for the next video on this car. I'm gonna take the engine apart and I'm gonna check the damage. Even though I damaged the engine and I wasn't able to take this to Vegas, I ended up going to the Sema show. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys. I'm gonna play a couple of clips so you guys can see what the show is about. I did not go inside of the buildings because I had my family, but next year I'm gonna try to go inside. I was able to record whatever was outside of the show, and by the time I got there, I mean, it was already over and everybody was leaving, but I still got a couple of clips from decent cars. So I'm gonna go ahead and play those clips for you guys.